Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the EduLeaders Speak podcast. Like every episode, this one is also a bit extra special. With us here today, your host, Bushra and Iram.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, Sara.
Hi, thanks for having me. And our special guest, Sara Galadari, bestselling Emirati author, whose books, The Elemental, City of Stars, The Pigeon Chronicles, and What is Home, weave imagination, identity, and emotion into stories that speak directly to today's youth. Her writing journey in English is not just a creative path, it's a cultural bridge. So our podcast typically focuses on education leaders in the region, and in many ways, we see Sara as one too. At EduEnhance, we have the privilege of supporting all different Texas schools in the region with their literacy needs, and that's what gave birth to the EduEnhance Literacy Ambassadors initiative, which brings together powerful, relatable voices in the literary world to the classroom. And so welcome to the podcast, Sara.
So thank you so much for having me today. It's honestly such a pleasure. And, to be part of a force that is paving the way for tomorrow, you're building up the leaders of tomorrow. It's just such an honor to be considered.
Thank you. We are completely honored and completely inspired by your work, Sara, because typically this is our everyday's job. We go to educators, we go to schools, we try and understand what their needs are, and then we try and bring the right solutions to them. So it's very, very encouraging for us to see the outcomes that come about after our programs are being implemented and our support, comes into action. But when we met you through our Literacy Ambassadors program, we were completely in awe and inspired. We really were impressed by the way you are carrying different roles with so much grace and so much pride. So we felt that we should have you on our podcast and we should ask you this question first. What is your why? Why do you do what you do so brilliantly?
That's a really good question. And I think when I think about my why as a writer, so I juggle many hats as you mentioned. So I'm my mom, I am a writer, I am an employee in the government. So juggling these many different hats is quite it can be quite a lot. But I think that having passion, I think, is just really what drives you. If you want to make time for something that you really care about, you will find a way to make time for it. And I think writers collectively, we may sound a little bit maybe fantastical when we say this thing, but it's, to be honest, writing and sharing these stories is a way to kind of experience different worlds that exist in your head. I think everybody builds a different world that we all kind of have, we all kind of see through. We have different lenses, we have different worldviews, and writing is just one way to really explore that, to take it and expand on it, expand on ideas. And it's just, to be honest, just something that you truly enjoy because you feel like you can travel the universe, really, not even the world, just sitting on your couch and opening a book. And to add to that, to add your voice to that and maybe inspire somebody else to build their voice is such a powerful thing. And that's something that moves me.
That's amazing. But I must ask, because, you are wearing, as you said, multiple hats. You work in the corporate sector, you work with the government, you're a writer, you're a mom, you're a daughter, a wife. I mean, there are many, many roles that you play. But I've always seen you do that with a smile. So every time I've met you, you are easygoing, you're relaxed, you're enjoying what you're doing. So I've got two questions now. I'm really curious. The first one is, what is your inspiration? What makes you, feel that I want to keep going, I want to keep doing this, I want to keep the pace? And secondly, what is that support system that you need? Because for women like us, we are trying to do our best to give back to the community, to be there for our family, for our kids, for our friends. So then how do you ensure that you hit the right balance as well and you get to do what you do?
So there are many. So I would say the typical answer would be it's my kids, it's my parents, and these are all parts of things that inspire me, things that want me to, because I want them to be proud of me. I want to feel that I've given something back to them. But really the answer is my younger self is my inspiration. I want to be someone that when I was 8 or 9 years old, and I want to look up and see someone who looks like me doing the things that I love. Because when I was younger, all of the popular books were written by people that didn't necessarily represent me. And so while that is really part of what makes reading and writing so wonderful, is that you get to connect with these different cultures. But if you don't have your own representation, you kind of feel that maybe that's not your space, and that maybe you have to kind of find a way to, or maybe you're breaking the mold into doing that. And that can be a little scary. And so I think that if me as an 8-year-old saw someone who looked like me going for it and doing that and being supported and being really just welcomed into that space, I think it would have made this whole journey, this journey itself was a long one, but I think it would have made it a lot easier. So it wasn't very easy. It was a little bit tough. People are, I remember when I was younger saying, I want to be a writer. I really want to be a writer. I want to go to, even when looking at college, I was thinking, university, I want to study something that would help me in writing, to creative writing class. And people said, well, that's nice. That's nice you want to do that. But maybe focus on something that's more traditional, like maybe more, if not traditional, but maybe something more STEM related, for example, or something
More realistic.
more realistic, exactly. And I did do that. I kind of had the best of both worlds, and so I followed that advice, which was really good advice, because at the end of the day, you want something that will sustain you and that will help build yourself and build your place in society. But the other time, it kind of helps me follow my passion. And so going back to my 8-year-old self, seeing that little girl and thinking that person did it, that's my true inspiration.
That's very powerful. That's so powerful.
Resonates so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your second question, so juggling all these different hats, I would love to say I can do it all, and I am the super woman, and I can do everything.
You're too humble for that. No, you're not.
I would love to say that, but the reality is it takes a village.
It does.
I have 2 kids, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I have 2 siblings, two younger brothers, my parents, my sisters-in-law, my brothers-in-law, so I have my nephews and nieces. We're a big family, and with that comes a lot of different expectations, and along with that comes a lot of different support. And so needing to meet them, so you can't just take from everybody, you have to also give. And so finding that balance, but also knowing that you are able to lean on them, it's such a blessing to have that privilege. I know that is a privilege to have. So it takes a village to really lean on and support, and also be there to support them as well.
I really wanted to hear this from you, because at the end of the day, as you said, that yes, it takes a lot of courage from the person himself or herself to be doing all that we do. But until and unless you don't have the support system, it can get very difficult. So kudos to all those relatives, friends, the people, our loved ones who support us and let us grow the way we like, and the way we can, spread our wings and then do something for the community at large.
Well, it all resonates so much. And why not? If there can be people to support us and make life easier, why not, right? And so actually, before we move out towards a bigger picture, if you could linger a bit more on your journey, these books, they're also different. And this is a children's book.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got fantasy with The Elemental. Then you've got the Pigeon Chronicles, which
I love this one. That's the Pigeon
the privilege of reading. Very different type of story. So what actually connects it all? How do your life stories make it into your work? What's the inspiration?
Actually, yeah. So when I actually asked myself this question, because usually writers, they tend to have a brand. So I am a fantasy writer. I am a children's writer. For me, when I asked myself, how do I exactly brand myself? Because I kind of went in all different directions. And to be honest, I think I wrote the story that I wanted to read. I think,
Mhm.
because you can kind of pigeonhole yourself into a genre that maybe you liked at one point in your life, and then as you grew older, maybe you go through different things, you're thinking, okay, well, actually now I also enjoyed this genre. And so The Pigeon Chronicles is actually one of my favorite books that I wrote, and the sequel is underway.
Oh, excellent. We look forward to that.
Thank you. And so that one is, to be honest, just I think something that I just really enjoyed writing. It was just little bits of inspiration, because the story is about this pigeon and the boy. And so as he grows up in life, the pigeon kind of witnesses these key moments in his life. So something in his math class, or something is his first job, or so all of these like major milestones, but a pigeon comes in and kind of ruins it. And that kind of, I took inspiration as, as you're kind of growing up and you see there's always this pigeon, and it was kind of in a humor kind of lens. And that was an entirely different direction. And then my children's book is something I wrote actually when my son was born. And I thought, I want to read. I had all these children's books. I thought, I want to set up a library. I want him to be a reader. And I thought, like, why don't I write him something? I should. I can't. I can. Why pigeonhole myself into a single genre of young adult? And so I wrote that just kind of as a dedication for him. And then I have one for my daughter as well. So as she grows older, she won't think that
She's left out.
it's underway, but it's just not here on this table now.
So this wasn't the first book.
No, so actually, though, this is my first children's book.
First children's book,
And
right?
this one is underway for my daughter, who's 1 year old, who's a 1 year old now. And so I just kind of wrote the stories I really wanted to read, and that kind of, I read a quote somewhere, or I read something somewhere where it said, how do you write a story that you know that your readers will enjoy? And people can write things that will sell well, so there are certain trends that go on in the book world, and you can follow those trends, but they all kind of end up sounding the same. And one writer, and I'm blanking on her name, but I want to give her credit for that, is she was saying the best book that she wrote was something that she genuinely wanted to write. And I really took that with me, because I felt pressured into, okay, well, I wrote this genre. Do I need to stick into it? And so that's why each one is different. I just wrote something I really wanted to read.
It's so powerful to see you breaking the mold in so many different ways.
This one being one as well. Because Bushra and I were discussing this as well before the podcast, that how does an author come up, or a writer come up with a story? Is it something that they are taking from their own lives, from their childhood? But what about those writers who write fiction, sci-fi, horror, What are those genres? So it's a pretty exciting world, inside a writer's mind. How do you come up? Because we all have stories, but typically we tend to take from our own lives, our own experiences, our own culture, etc. But again, with you, it's been so diverse. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
All right, so now if we were to zoom out a little bit, as EduEnhance, some of the work we do is provide literacy curricula to schools, but also train teachers and just brainstorm with schools on strategies to make literacy more relevant, but relate to different demographics. So here's a question that perhaps you've gotten before. Why do you think writing and reading in English is important for young people in the UAE?
So I'll answer in 2 steps. So reading and writing in general, I think it's something that is a really important skill to develop, because it's a way to kind of explore and expand on ideas that you have in your head that maybe if it's a fleeting thought, you can just, have a thought and you just leave it. But if you really focus on it, it kind of forces you to really ponder upon it. You can kind of dissect it, open it, you kind of explore and unlock new doors. And with reading, I think it's a way to kind of navigate the unknown. So you don't necessarily know what it's like to be on a shipwreck, for example, or you don't really know what it's like to go through a war, for example. But when you read books that go through those situations, you build that empathy. And the world is such a diverse place that if you don't have that empathy, or you don't develop those feelings, because empathy is a skill, and how you exercise that, you can only go through so much as a human being. But when you read, it gives you that opportunity to have a window into what that experience might look like and what were the feelings that are there. And that really helps build better human beings. And the world needs a lot more of that. The world has a lot of good human beings, but we want to keep that and grow that. And so that's why I think reading and writing is such an important skill to develop. And then why in English, and specifically in the UAE, we are a multicultural hub. So we have people from all around the world, and the common language that we can all communicate with is in English. And you see that whether it's in a restaurant, whether you're buying something, whether you're at work and you're in the corporate world and you need to deal with people from all different kinds of companies to all different kinds of countries. So finding that common bridge and having that common language and having that skill to be able to communicate clearly is really necessary to succeed in this world.
That's a lovely response, and I think that will inspire a lot of people to consider picking up writing in English. But as someone who writes in English, how do you balance that with your Emirati identity and cultural roots? Or do you even see a need to do that?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a need because so usually some of the comments or some of the not the comments, some of the assumptions is that oh, you speak English really well for someone who looks like you. And that's,
heard that one before.
Yeah, and they're really surprised and really like astonished. And I'm thinking, no, we've been taught we're bilingual. Like the schools here, they encouraged you to be bilingual. You're taught either English and Arabic or English and French. But English is the main vein throughout your curriculum. It depends where you are, of course. So if you are in a public school, Arabic is more of a heavy focus, which is of course very, very important, especially in this country, because that is the native language, that is the heritage, and that's how you preserve your identity as well. So I think it's not really a balance, or maybe it is. But I find that constant surprise of, oh, you speak. You speak quite well for. Well, yes, we've been to school.
Yeah, we've been to school and we use it every day. So why wouldn't we develop fluency in a language?
Multicultural hub, so we're not really isolated in like we're not isolated from different cultures and different countries and different people. We're living all together. And then also my heritage also or my personal background helps as well, because my mom is actually from Fiji Islands and my dad is from the UAE, and so they both spoke and connected with each other in English because my dad spoke Arabic and my mom speaks English. And so she was one of the main people who taught me how to read, and that was also something that really pushed me to excel.
And the fact that you've mentioned that stories and reading actually brings empathy into a person's lives as well. This is so true in your thought process, because imagine if you're not able to read or watch, content or stories, then you clearly can't experience everything yourself, right? That's the only way how you understand another person's perspective or another person's situation. And it's so critical that skill is built right from the start.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that reading is something, and writing, we're moving forward with technology taking over. And there is going to be a section where we talk about how AI is going to affect our reading and writing skills. But having said that, everything, the basics are in those two skills, reading and writing, right?
Absolutely.
To grow, even to use technology optimally and the best ability, how to leverage it properly.
Absolutely. It's your building blocks.
Yeah, those are the building blocks.
What skills do you think are essential to becoming a strong writer, especially if you're not writing in your native language?
I think the best thing you can do, whether you're writing in your native language or in a new language, is read. You have to read. Even Margaret Atwood, so she is the author of The Handmaid's Tale, for example. She said to become a writer, first to become a writer, you have to write. That's to be a writer, and you don't have to be this person with a desk and a typewriter and have that aesthetic. It's like to be a writer, you just have to write. But the best way to do it is to read. That's how you get new ideas. That's how you find out what kind of voices you like to use. You kind of find your own voice. You find what do you like and actually what do you not like in stories. And that's how you develop your craft. Yes, of course, you have to practice, and you become a better writer by writing. But the starting point is to read. And I think that's how we all started. Even looking at my own story, what spurred me to be a writer is I was reading a book when I was younger, and my family still loved taking us to the public library. And so we used to go and look at books. And I remember I was reading a book in a series, and the author was still writing the next book. And I went to the librarian and I asked, where is the next book? I just finished this one. I want to know what happens next. And she said, well, unfortunately, we have to wait because the author is still writing that book. And it was that moment where it's like, oh, someone is creating this. It's not just something that's readily available. Someone thought about this and sat and wrote about it. But on top of that, I was like, well, in my child's mind, I'd say, oh my God, I have to wait a year. That's so long. Yes, the Harry Potter books. Yeah, I have to wait so long. Your whole childhood was waiting for the next book to come out. And so she said, well, why don't you write your own idea? What do you think happens? And that's what unlocked that door of, oh, why don't I do that? And you kind of have fun with it, and you see where it takes you. And that's how I became a writer.
It's interesting how there's always that one person who kind of gives you that idea or
encourages moment.
Yeah.
Why don't you write yourself?
And again, when you read, you're actually learning vocabulary. You're learning new expressions. You're learning how to express yourself, basically, because there could be a lot of ideas in your mind.
Absolutely.
How do you bring them out, put them on paper?
Absolutely.
And that is what reading helps you with.
But actually, if I could just go a little bit deeper, and when you say we should write more, if we're interested in becoming a writer or becoming a better writer, how can we approach that? Is that you take down notes as much as possible, or you write down a journal? What would you suggest is a good way, even if I don't have a story at hand immediately, to start writing to become a better writer?
I think each person has a different way that they enjoy it. But I think the most important thing to do is to find a way that you actually enjoy. So, for example, and this is maybe a little bit embarrassing, but I love fan fiction. So me and my friends, we loved fan fiction growing up. And so we would, for fun, just because we thought, oh, this is just something fun to do with the characters that we love. And so we used to write fan fiction. So that's one way, a nerdy way that I love to do.
I love her though. Such a way.
Journaling is another way. Journaling is such a powerful way to get your thoughts down. I think there's I think one skill that people work on and that comes naturally kind of with reading these stories is developing emotional intelligence. And journaling is one way to really practice that yourself. So it's one thing to see it in action by reading these stories and hearing these people's voices, but another way to actually sit and write and experiment with your own thoughts. Journaling is another way. Some people, they love annotating books. So they take books and they, put little tabs on it, and they write little notes in the corner. And some people make it like a group activity. So they all take one book and they have a color-coded pen, for example, like person A is blue, person B is pink. And so each person, as they read the book, they kind of write, oh, this made me laugh or something. And then you pass it on to the next person, maybe across different country. And so you to kind of stay connected and to kind of experience those person's thoughts as you're writing or reading the book. It's like, oh, I thought that too. That was really funny. And you pass it along. So just the important thing is do it the way that you enjoy it.
You're a born teacher as well. Did anybody tell you that?
Really?
Yeah.
That's really ironic, but or not ironic, but that's really interesting because I'll be very honest. As a student in school, I wasn't actually a very strong student, and so, or grades wise at least, and because things like math and science and physics and chemistry, these were things that were really championed, and I am unfortunately not that well versed in. I mean, I studied and yes, I did well and I passed, but I wasn't the top student. No. I loved English and I loved Arabic and I loved literature and I loved those classes, but a lot of focus, and especially I think in our culture, a lot of success is tied to STEM. And they're so important. They're such important fields, but I think something that gets missed is, when in times of let's say boredom, or in times of grief, or in times of happiness, people turn to art, and people turn to literature, people turn to books. You dedicate a song to someone, you dedicate a book to someone. When you're bored, you read, or when you're or you watch a movie or listen to someone's story, you feel sad, or you listen to a sad song. And so these are the things that I think, if there has to be balance in the world. STEM is so important, but without the balance of having the arts there, the world can be so gray.
So true. And having said that,
Sorry, I mean, something comes to mind that even when you look at STEM or STEAM for that matter, having good vocabulary, having good comprehension, that's critical anyway. So it really breaks my heart as well as an English teacher when I'm told that, but science is more important. Math is more. And I'm like, is it? Of course it is in its solely ways. But you can't excel until and unless you have those basic
skills in language.
Absolutely.
The basic vocabulary.
I just look at work day to day, writing emails, talking to people, trying to align. Like
just
if you didn't
communicate.
just to communicate.
The way you're communicating is like half the battle won, right?
Exactly. And actually, if I can expand on that, so let's say you're an engineer and you're studying, and you're solely focused on that. If you're writing your research, you're writing your reports, how are you writing it? You're not putting it solely in numbers. You have to interpret that. You have to, or even with AI, and I know we're going to talk about this more later, but even with AI, you need to engineer your prompts, and you can't just do that with the formula in the background or the code in the background. You do that through language.
Through prompting. Yeah. From how do you write good prompts? Yeah. That comes from enhancing your vocabulary as well, and your expression, isn't it?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, in school you weren't that quote unquote star student per se, because I think so many students can relate to that and can feel like, unfortunately, that they cannot excel in life or do anything well if they're not getting those grades in all the subjects. And looking at your career now, besides being a writer, you seem to work in a very technical industry, right? So it's not like So it's not like we're lacking any evidence that Sara can excel in different areas, but it's just that basically I hope the message gets across to more students that it's okay if you're struggling in some areas, and you can use your strengths to lift yourself up in other areas.
That's something that I wished I thought of or I heard as a student as well. Because for me, being not basically the top student, and something that you yearn to be, and you think that is the only way you can. No, you like, grades aren't everything. Yes, grades are very important, and I want to iterate that you do need to work hard, and it doesn't mean that, okay, now it's not important, I'm not going to do anything. You do need to work hard, but just because you're not the best at something doesn't mean you shouldn't try. So I hope that really resonates with the student, that maybe you're feeling a little bit, you're maybe feeling disappointed in yourself, and you think, and you take yourself out of the running. So you think, there's a goal that you want to do, but because I'm maybe not so great in this, I'm going to remove myself out of the running. But actually, no, let them remove you out, but you go for it. Even if they say you can't, no, prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. The worst that's going to happen is someone will say no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that really resonates as well.
Now let's talk about the future of writing, because let's be real, it is a bit uncertain, right? Where things are going to go, and we're in that age where we're trying to navigate creativity with artificial intelligence. So with AI tools becoming more accessible, we're all wondering, will creative writing still matter? What's your perspective? And just to give more context, we're in an era where I can tell AI to write a story in the style of Mark Twain. It will actually do that.
Yeah.
So where does that leave human creativity?
Well, actually, so this is a big topic that I myself was wondering about, because yes, people are using AI definitely to help them write books, to help them write out ideas for themselves in the style of certain people. And I think that no matter how great AI is, yes, AI can be absolutely a tool that you can leverage to make your writing better, or maybe critique it, or maybe, help you analyze the grammar and make sure you miss any typos or something. It's absolutely a tool that I think we can use, but will it replace the human voice? Will it replace creativity? No. And the reason why is when you read essays, for example, written by students, you can clearly tell who has used AI and who hasn't. And even if you use the prompt of remove M dashes, remove the telltale signs of AI, make it humanize it, the voices all kind of sound the same. As you read book after book, or essay after essay, or paper after paper, and you can clearly tell who has used AI and who hasn't, because the thoughts only go so deep, and you only have one or two points of view, because at the end of the day, the AI is replicating the person who coded it. And so if the person has a certain worldview, for example, there's a training that we did recently with AI, and the prompt was generate an image of a beautiful woman. Every single image looked the same. It was a blonde Caucasian woman who fit the certain body standard and had the blue. So that is the stereotypical beauty standards. But so at the end of the day, it's replicating the person who coded the AI. And so you're having that same voice. You're not having that depth. You're not having differing views. You're not maybe having a controversial view, because controversial views, for example, let's say you're debating. You can take, even if you don't believe in it, if you're debating if let's say you're on the debate team, or you're debating just for fun, because some people do that. And it's a really great skill to develop. Having differing views, if you're only using AI, you're only going to get so far. And actually, your brain gets lazy. So there was a study done, I think it was in Harvard or one of the MIT, I'll talk there, babe. Yeah, so where they looked at the brain after using AI, and people who solely used AI, when they were asked a week later to write something, they couldn't do it. And whereas people who use AI is maybe to help them come up with a creative prompt or come up with something, they used it. But then also what was interesting is there was a dip afterwards. So when they were let go a week or 2 weeks later and said, do it by yourself, they also experienced some difficulty. So AI definitely is helpful. But I think what happens if we lean on that too much, we lose that muscle. Because creativity is also a skill. Yes, some people are born with it, some people are better at it. But you can only get so far by just skating on I was born with it. You have to you have to exercise that muscle, or you lose it.
Yeah. Sure, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm pretty glad to hear what you said on two levels. The first one being that the example you were giving, that the prompt was given, give a picture of a beautiful woman, then you had that stereotypical, one image. But then imagine these kids were giving very different prompts, right? Or kids or adults, whoever was in that experiment. But the point is that in our field of work, we are always trying to evolve and we are trying to come up with solutions that the schools need, the educators need. So one thing they've started working on is a writing program using AI, but with the vision that it gives children the skills to write effectively and differently, because we don't want the same voice. We do need that creativity, but then we want AI to enhance it further, right? And use it in different formats. So I'm pretty happy to hear that that's, I think, a great effort that we are putting in building that writing program. And the second thing that you said was so exciting, because how you hear from people about being physically active. So even if you have the car or the bike, you still need to walk. You need the muscles to work, right?
Yeah.
So similarly, you need the brain muscle to work as well. You can't just rely on AI or technology all the time.
Yeah.
You need your own thought process. You need your own brain muscle to think.
And if I don't want to quote, I can't say I can quote that study, but one of the things I read about it was it found that if you already had certain cognitive abilities honed and you used AI, your work came out a lot more creative. Although they did find that if you did it a bit too much, again, that muscle became a bit weak. But at the same time, so there's such a powerful case to be made to get our youth, ourselves, up to a point where we feel we can stand on our own for the most part, but AI will only enhance. For example, when we're using Aram's like, let's draft the email first and then see if we want to refine it. It's not like, not just like let the AI do the whole thing. But I also wonder to what extent it's about confidence, because something that's inherently human is you only want to do something when you feel more confident. And the only way to feel more confident is to actually do it. So I wonder if we're taking away our own confidence by
depending too much on technology.
yeah.
Right. So again, I think it's to hit the right balance, because you can't keep away from it. You can't shy away from AI and technology, because that's the way the world is moving. And I love using this quote that do not confine your children to your own learning. Or on and another time. So, times are moving on, and we need to keep up with it, right? Stage is the only constant. Therefore, we have to keep up with it. However, keep the balance.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's the key, I think, take that I'd like to take from our conversation, that don't fully rely on one thing or the other. Be ready for the future, but ensure that you have the skills to survive on your own as well.
Absolutely. AI, when you are using it, for example, let's say to write something creatively, or you're using it something, they're standing on the shoulder of giants, because they are basically recycling what's already out there and using it. And so if those weren't there to begin with, then your AI would be, your prompts and your outcome would be quite weak. And so I would rather yes, is it faster and easier to write a book? Absolutely. With AI, absolutely. But I would be so much more proud of my books and my work if I knew that it was my voice and not some AI that I just kind of put my name on it and just said, here's my work. I would, and if AI were to be inspired by my work and use it, someone in the future say, writes in the style of this author and used my name, I would be honored to be one of the giants, and inshallah one day. But
But I completely hear you that it's great to have confidence in your own skills and take pride in that, right?
yeah,
So as you said that you've written one book for your son, and now you want to write another for your daughter.
yeah,
Is it something so personal?
yeah,
And I feel the same way about emails, to be honest. Brera was saying that, at work we have this policy that we are not going to tell ChatGPT to
Yeah.
send out an email for us. We'll draft it ourselves and then maybe run it.
See whether we need. And sometimes you don't.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's good enough, right?
yeah.
So
And actually, I think was last week or something that ChatGPT or some AI was down, and the amount of people who called in sick to work because they were so used to using AI for emails, So
That it hasn't even been that long, which at TBTA people are so reliant. But that's us humans, right? We get used to comfort very quickly.
we're creatures of comfort. Yeah.
Comfort, yeah, that's so true.
So if we were to sort of put it in a nutshell, what excites you and what concerns you about the future of storytelling with all these technologies around?
What excites me is I think that it may be a gateway for people to maybe experiment with writing that they never had before. So, for example, I'm thinking, for example, of my brother. My brother is a very engineer, very math kind of guy. And I cannot imagine him sitting to write a story. Like he's a very much 1 + 1 = 2, and the world makes sense that way. And you can't break out of it. You cannot ask why 1 + 1 = 3. And I think if someone like him were to experiment with writing, I think that would be a great tool to help him kind of flesh that out and to really kind of explore that, because you have to start somewhere. And so I think for people who maybe are afraid to even venture, or maybe they're questioning themselves and have self-doubt or imposter syndrome and said, I can't, that's a great way to try or to experiment. I think that's, and you kind of see what works. So I think maybe we'll see more writers out that way. But then what concerns me is I feel that if people are only relying on AI, you lose that unique voice. You lose that way to kind of think things for yourself, because if you use ChatGPT to write something, you will forget what you wrote. You will forget because you didn't write it. You just generated the prompt. You wrote everything you done, and it's done. But if you spent time to actually read or write or something, or you research, because as you're writing, it's not just you're sitting and you're writing, you sometimes pause and say, wait, actually, how does that work? And you go and research. For example, writing murder mysteries, like the average person hasn't committed a murder, and so one would know. And so you would stop and Google, actually, I want this character to be poisoned. What are the side effects of this specific poison? And you really hope that, that one day you're a suspect, they will not see that your Google history will, point in the wrong direction. You were really just a writer trying to explore different ways to kill someone.
In your book, a fictional person. No, not a real person.
We'd love to see what your looks like.
We'll see. And so,
you learn a lot by default. You learn a lot through the process. You're not just writing out a story, but you're doing research as well, and you'll remember that. So, for example, in the 2003 tsunami in Southeast Asia, there was a girl who remembered when she was on the beach, I think it was in Thailand, and she saw the ocean retreating. Everybody went to see what's going on because it's a really unique phenomenon, what's happening. She remembered, though, because she had just taken a class, and she was in the 3rd grade, I think, that these are the signs of a tsunami. And so she saved that entire beach by telling her parents that I think this is a tsunami coming. They went and told the lifeguard, they told the authorities, and they evacuated that beach. And she's potentially saved hundreds of lives that day because she learned that. But if she had just ChatGPT'd that paper, would she have remembered that? That's such a detail that's stuck in your mind.
Example.
Yeah.
It is. And that's where I've personally found ChatGPT to be the most helpful, is in learning things in greater volume that I didn't know, but not necessarily to create work for me. Because the worst hit it takes on me is I feel less confident doing it myself, and I feel less effective. And so I really appreciate your response, actually, because it is exciting. Maybe it could give people the encouragement. We've also seen some AI platforms come up for schools where they don't do the assignment for you. They'll prompt you with questions to deepen your thinking. So I think as educators, it's time for us to think about how we can use AI to help our students further their thinking rather than stop thinking.
Absolutely. And I think, I think it's easy to kind of paint AI as this bad guy, and that there's something that you should be feared and shame on you for using AI, you're cheating. But no, I think it's such a powerful tool. And I think that there are ways that maybe we don't know right now, that maybe in a year from now, when we're looking back at this thinking, oh, I can't believe she said that about AI, like little do you know. But even I saw somebody saying in the education context of, okay, well, someone used AI to draft a paper or draft a letter or something. Now you take the opposing stance and you write something. So so you don't necessarily have to use it as this is the end all be all. This can be just part one of the process of expanding the way you think.
You're absolutely correct. And that's what we are learning from our educators that we are working with as well, that it is just one of the resources that they had now. It's not like it's going to be the be all end all of everything, but just one of the resources that they'll be using to have the kids produce work and hone their own skills.
Yeah.
And doing a lot more on-the-spot writing, which can only make you a better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about it. Well, now we're at the fun part of our podcast, although it's all been very fun. But we like to conclude our podcast with a little game, a rapid fire game, where, as you can see, we have a little blackboard here and a piece of chalk in front of us. And I love to be the person asking questions. And basically, it's a very lighthearted game, but gives us a window into your soul. We'll give you 2 choices, and Aaron will join you in responding just to see if there's a contrast in responses. So no such thing as a wrong or bad answer, just to bring out let's start with a warm-up. Coffee or Keurig?
okay.
It's that time of the evening to win.
Like handwriting.
It took like 2 seconds for I wrote it.
Because that's what I really need right now. What's that?
Sarah's such a rebel. Sarah's such a rebel.
Another person, isn't it? I think outside the box.
Think outside the box. Hot chocolate. All right. Okay, not bad. Okay, this is a fun one. Do you prefer to take notes by hand or type them in?
Oh God, I'm going to expose my age now.
Ready?
Where did you go? You guys the same age.
Misha would be right because she's like, I was like,
I cannot.
a second or so.
I shouldn't say this in public, but I have the worst handwriting.
Me too. You're not alone. Oh my gosh.
But I love like typing. So, all right. Desert dunes or city lights? I mean, with the long weekend coming up, it didn't take Sara a long time to get to this one right.
I mean, if you asked me this question 10 years ago, it would be city lights all the way. But now it's
Getting away from all the bustle. I think I would have said the same thing. And there's something so beautiful about the dunes we have around us too. There's so much serenity.
Yeah.
And the last one, and this is a really fun one. Dream writing spot. Beach, cafe, or mountain cabin.
Okay, now this is a fantasy.
I'm gonna see the writer and Aram come out.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
That's why I haven't written a book yet, because I haven't ended up on a mountain.
That's the problem.
Beach for you, huh?
Beach. Well, it's a fantasy as well because I cannot imagine myself. I want to write on a beach. I feel like it would be so serene.
Yeah.
But in reality, I know that sand will be like flung into my eyes.
So I always used to idolize the beach readers, who go to the beach to read. And I decided to do that one day myself. And the sunlight is so strong. There's so much sand.
Yeah.
The water's right there.
Right, that too.
You had a vision, but maybe it didn't pan out.
So maybe the mountain cabin, maybe.
Ah, that's the right fantasy, isn't it?
That's the one.
Quietly sitting somewhere in a corner, cold temperature, no distraction, scenic view. Inshallah, one day.
Inshallah. We'll find you a mountain.
Thank you so much. I would really appreciate it.
Since we're feeling so good and we're in a feel-good mood, why don't we rejoice a little bit? So as Sara knows, it's Aram's birthday today.
Oh, that's very kind of you. But yes, it is my birthday.
We wanted to make this day a little extra special, so we arranged a little bit of a surprise.
Oh, really?
I think Sara deserves all the credit.
Thank you so much.
Well, actually, you told me it was her birthday, so really.
So
Teamwork.
honored, and I'm so thrilled. And like a child, I'm actually announcing it everywhere this time.
We love it. You should join us for this, Anam. We should join us for this. Awesome.
Absolutely, Anam. Thank you so
So we're going to
much.
pass it. Oh,
This is
wow. Look at
actually
that.
Extra special. So this is a home business from an Emirati shop.
Wonderful.
She launched her own brand, and it's really, really, really good.
It's amazing. Oh, just what I wanted. Honestly, I was craving for a cookie, and I dare not say it, but thank you. So I'm going to keep all of it.
And I think,
Thank you so much.
Enjoy
all of it.
and as you enjoy that, we'll just sing you happy birthday. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
you.
Happy birthday, dear Aram.
So honored.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Aw, it's so
Thank
pleasant.
you. And a hug for you as well. Thank you. You really made my day. But yeah, this was amazing, Sara. Thank you so much for coming to our podcast. And we try and keep it as light and as informative as possible, and as inspirational as we can. So you really ticked all the boxes for us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was really honestly such a nice time having a conversation, just really sitting down and talking about something that we all just really love.
Thank you.
And actually, one last question before we close for today. Where can listeners find your books and follow your journey?
And Care For, it's on Amazon. You can find international book fairs in Sharjah International Book Fair, on international book fairs. And it's also in Magrudi's.
Lovely, with my childhood bookstore.
And it was kind of a full circle moment because when I was a kid, I remember saying one day my name will be in that bookshelf. And now it's this moment of, oh, is it it's there.
It's you.
Wow.
And going back to that little girl that we spoke about in the beginning, it's just that I did it for her. So.
Oh, thank you so
Beautiful.
much.
Yes, I wish you all the best and may you write many, many more books and keep inspiring us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Bushra.
Thanks, Sarah.